World War II didn't just happen out of the blue. It wasn't one single event, one single invasion that just threw the world into chaos. It was more like a long, complicated chain reaction, a line of dominoes, each one knocking over the next. Today, we're going to walk that path and see exactly how that final, devastating flame of war was lit.
This quote right here, it nails it. A conspiracy of events. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack. We're going to trace that chain, step by step. And our story, well, it doesn't start in 1939. It actually starts 20 years earlier, right in the ashes of World War I. All right, so let's rewind to 1919. The First World War is finally over. The winners get together to hammer out the Treaty of Versailles. Now, this was supposed to be a peace treaty, right? But for Germany, it felt a whole lot more like a punishment, one that was really designed to humiliate and cripple them for generations to come. And at the absolute core of this treaty was something called the War Guilt Clause. This wasn't just some symbolic gesture. No. Article 231 was the legal justification that allowed the Allies to demand insane amounts of money from Germany, basically holding them responsible for the entire global war. Just look at that number, $270 billion in today's money. This wasn't just a fine, it was an economic death sentence. I mean, the debt was so huge that Germany only made its final payment in 2010. Can you imagine that? A debt from World War I hanging over your country for almost 100 years? The effect at the time, it was catastrophic. And this is where things get absolutely insane. To make their payments, the German government just started printing more and more money, and their currency, the mark, became completely worthless. In a single year, the price of a loaf of bread went from 160 marks to 200 billion marks. People's life savings were just gone, wiped out overnight. The economy was in ruins, and out of that desperation, something new and something very dangerous started to grow. Okay, so you've got this environment of national humiliation and total economic ruin. It's the perfect breeding ground for extremism. And into that chaos steps a young, very charismatic politician named Adolf Hitler, who knew exactly how to tap into all that anger and despair for his own gain. So what did Hitler do? He offered people really simple answers to very complex problems. He told them, hey, you're not to blame for your suffering. Instead, he pointed fingers. He created scapegoats, spreading these awful conspiracy theories like Judeo-Bolshevism, this crazy idea that Jewish people were secretly trying to destroy Germany from the inside. He promised he would tear up that treaty and make Germany proud again.
And by 1933, you had 6 million people out of work. People were starving, they were desperate. And when people are that desperate, they'll listen to just about anyone who offers them a glimmer of hope. In that climate, Hitler was appointed chancellor, and he wasted no time turning himself into the absolute dictator of Germany. So once he's in power, what's the first thing Hitler does? He starts pushing boundaries, seeing exactly what he can get away with. In 1935, he just announces that, hey, Germany has secretly built an air force, the Luftwaffe, a total violation of the treaty. But the world's reaction, it was hesitant. Why? Well, a lot of countries, especially Britain, were still haunted by the horrors of World War I and would do almost anything to avoid another war. This policy of just giving Hitler what he wanted became known as appeasement. And you can just see it happening here, step by step. First, he rearms, then, boom, 1938, he marches his army into Austria. Nobody stops him. A few months later, he demands a German-speaking part of Czechoslovakia called the Sudetenland. The world leaders literally meet him in Munich and just give it to him. Each time he got away with something, it just made him bolder for the next move. And this quote from the British Prime Minister at the time, Neville Chamberlain, it just perfectly captures the whole idea of appeasement. He flew back from that meeting in Munich waving a piece of paper, claiming he had achieved peace for our time, but he and the world had completely misread the situation. They thought if they just gave Hitler what he wanted, he'd be satisfied. They were so wrong. Just a few months later, Hitler took the rest of Czechoslovakia anyway. So, after basically swallowing Austria and Czechoslovakia whole, Hitler's eyes turned to his next prize, Poland. But to pull that off, he had to make sure he wouldn't get attacked from the east. So, in a move that absolutely stunned the world, he made a deal with his #1 ideological enemy. This was just pure, cynical strategy. I mean, think about it. Hitler and the Nazis hated communists. Stalin and the Soviets hated fascists. But what they both wanted was a piece of Poland. By signing this deal, Hitler made sure the Soviet Union wouldn't attack him when he invaded. The coast was clear. And that was it. The final domino. On September 1st, 1939, German tanks rolled into Poland. Britain and France gave Hitler an ultimatum: get out or it's war. He ignored them, and so war was declared. But for Poland, it was already over. No real help came. That strange, quiet period at the beginning was even called the phony war, as Poland was just crushed.
So how did Germany conquer an entire country so fast? Well, they had a terrifying new way of fighting. It was called Blitzkrieg, which means lightning war, and it was designed to be the exact opposite of the slow, grinding trench warfare of World War I. This was all about speed and shock.
Okay, so here's how it worked. It was devastatingly simple. You have these fast-moving tank divisions, the Panzers. Just punch a hole right through the enemy's defenses. At the same time, you've got the Luftwaffe, the Air Force, dive bombing from above, creating total chaos and panic. The goal was to surround and destroy the enemy army before they even knew what hit them. We're talking about winning wars in weeks, not years. But the Germans had another secret weapon, and this is going to sound like something out of a movie. To keep up this insane, relentless pace, German soldiers were given millions of doses of a drug called Pervitin, and we know it today as crystal meth. This stuff allowed troops to fight for days on end without sleep, without food, without fear, giving them this almost superhuman edge in those first critical battles. So in May of 1940, Hitler unleashes this blitzkrieg on France with an absolutely brilliant three-part plan. He sent 2 army groups to attack Belgium and the Netherlands. This was a decoy to draw the main British and French armies north. The real genius move was the main attack force, which went right through the Ardennes forest, a place the Allies thought was totally impassable for tanks. It was a complete surprise, and it trapped the Allied armies. The Allies were pushed all the way back to the sea, pinned down at the port of Dunkirk. It looked like they were finished. But then, this incredible thing happened. In a desperate evacuation called Operation Dynamo, a whole fleet of military ships and civilian boats, fishing boats, yachts, you name it, sailed across the channel and rescued over 350,000 soldiers right off the beaches. It was a miracle, but it wasn't enough to save France. A few weeks later, the country surrendered.
And just like that, by the summer of 1940, Hitler was the master of Europe. He conquered Poland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, France. His eastern border was safe because of his deal with Stalin. Only Great Britain stood against him. From that moment, a German victory looked all but inevitable. The big question is, how was it not?